Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 131 for January 13th, 2015. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and the host of this podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burnda1, the special guest coordinator, and this week the editor.
Flutterguy317, the media manager.
And I'm Atmospark. I'm the questions and stuff.
You are the questions.
I am
He is
questions.
every single question. I have so many questions, so I mean, it explains a lot.
There are no answers, but I am definitely the question.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Well, like I said, it explains a lot.
Does it, though?
So, okay, Ted, we need to talk.
Uh-huh.
You know why we need to talk?
Why?
Because I was just thinking through the intro, like, hey, you know, we're doing a pretty good job. We got to 131 episodes. Like, you know, I'm saying the intro and I don't screw it up. Like it's totally like fluent now. And then your username comes up. When are you gonna change that?
What?
Real talk. Your username ends in 3 numbers.
Yeah.
Why?
And Burns ends in 2.
Yeah, what's your point? You got a problem with numbers, bro?
I
Yeah,
do
are
have
you-
a
are you
problem with
I
numbers?
can't be 01?
I do
Good
have a
Lord,
problem with
man.
numbers.
Some people identify with their numbers, okay?
Are
And
you
you are
number
oppressing my
kid?
identity online, and I am uncomfortable with this.
I am more a 317 than a Flutter guy. Come on, man.
Aren't you an apple guy?
Look at that. Look
I'm
at that.
gonna go in a corner and cry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You oppressed
kinda.
his identification. This is not okay.
I mean,
You lord of choice words.
I
the
could be a
Lord of Choice Words? Excuse me?
Oh, I got it.
The Lord of Choice Words. All right. Well,
words.
Yeah, I get it too.
we'll leave this
Yeah.
for now, but we'll come back another day. Maybe, you know what?
What we do
Can we
for
make a deal?
censorship.
On episode 317, you need to change your username.
Yeah,
To
deal.
what? Just Flutter guy?
Yes. There you go. Deal.
No, but
Something
see,
else.
It should become
here's the...
317 spelt out just to spite him.
Yeah, it will.
Does that mean on the
I
first
will- I
episode
will do
Burn
it
has to
too.
change his?
Nah, too late. 100, damn it. We've already passed 101 too.
Yeah.
I am becoming
Here's-
Obi-Wan.
Here's the issue,
my
though,
name
right?
now.
Like, Flutterguy317 was what I chose when I joined Reddit because there was already a Flutter guy that was there, and Flutter guy is canon to the show. If I could go back and change it to something else, I probably would, but it's me
It's
now.
never too late.
It's
It's
your
never
identity
too
now.
late.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
not
there's
gonna.
anything
I'm not
wrong
gonna
with the
pull
numbers.
a pinky dash and change my name to Atmospark. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
It
Hey,
who
worked
does
out
that?
really well
Hey.
for him.
Hey,
Hey,
He did great before he died. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Pinky Dash.
God rest his soul.
All right.
you still call me that, Burn?
All right. So we'll
What
leave
was
this.
what was your Reddit name? I used to call you by that too.
Shallow and pedantic.
Yeah,
That was
Still
good.
is.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah. I used to call you Shallow, like when we did critiques together and stuff. I for short I called you Shallow.
Sorry, I used to call you Shallow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really funny. Oh man. Usernames. Pick them wisely, folks. Seriously.
I don't think I have one that's the same anywhere.
It's true. You keep changing it. Are you gonna stick with Atmospark now? That like you
Yeah.
got something consistent.
Yeah.
Consistency.
But is that going to be
important.
your username for like multiple sites now, or is it
Yeah.
just for?
Maybe I should
Yeah.
change my Xbox Live name.
Consistency is important online. I personally believe that consistency is important.
Yeah, everyone should just be more like Burn.
And just, you know,
Burn cheats
use your
because
real
he has a
name.
weird name.
Burnda1 is my name everywhere, and it's also extremely useful because it's also my real name.
Yeah.
So
it's just like nothing ever changes.
So your middle name is 01?
So did you try? I've never actually asked you this, but did you try like Burned 1 and then went, oh, couldn't get
Yeah,
it?
I thought I've told the story on the podcast before. I think just maybe like a really really long time ago, but like the origin of my name comes from Unreal Tournament when I was like 9, and it was the very first time I had to make an online username, and it was like, put in your username, and I was like, well, my name's Burn, so put in Burn. So I was putting my actual name, right? At that point in time, my parents actually called me Andre, but that's another story. So I put in Burn, and Burn was taken. So I'm like, what the heck? Like, I am Burned. So I was like, what about Burned 1? And Burned 1 was taken, and I was like, no. So I put Burned 01 because it sounded cool, like Burned 01. And then that was my username for Unreal Tournament and became a username everywhere.
Classic
Cool.
Burned 01.
Yep. Classic 9-year-old burn.
So,
Classic Andre.
There you go. Now you sound like my mom.
It's great. It's great.
so you want to go play Unreal later?
Speaking of
I don't
games,
think I have it installed.
speaking of games, we actually managed to transition out of that.
Segues.
I just finished my okay, so did I talk about working at EA last week?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not even a little bit.
Working for the
Okay.
enemy.
So I work at EA now. That's the thing. I was planning on like making a post on my DeviantArt about it, but like I've just like not had the motivation to write lately. So yeah.
I don't have the motivation to do anything.
So back in November, I've been going around like the last 8 months from May until December. I was on a co-op job, and for people who don't know what co-op is, it's kind of like an internship. Also, my computer froze. Sorry. I'm back. It's kind of like an internship. It's a paid internship that's organized through your university. So you get like job experience and you get to learn stuff while you're still going to university. So, anyways, back in November, I actually got a job at a studio of EA's, at their mobile studio. So for the next 8 months, I'm going to be working on Vidya games and Vidya game things at EA's local studio in Kitchener, Ontario. So that was why I moved in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, so I just finished my first week there. Pretty darn happy about it. I'm pretty stoked. This has been like a career that I've wanted to do ever since I'm a little kid, and now I get to make games. That's cool.
Yay! Yeah, that's really cool. Can you tell us what the future of gaming is? Is it pixels? I'm guessing it's pixels.
The future of gaming is gaming. That's all I can tell you.
Future of gaming is hats and microtransactions, dude. And skins.
That
I
is
am working
true.
in a mobile company, so the future
Like-
of mobile gaming is microtransactions.
Have I ever told you guys this, that in my possession I have almost a $300 skin
Really?
that I may or may not have purchased?
Is it in your
USD?
basement?
For what?
Well, I mean, I game in my basement, so essentially.
I
But-
may or may not have purchased, so you definitely did purchase.
Yeah. So no, for CS:GO, I have a knife skin, a butterfly vanilla, and it sells for like 130 keys or 120 keys or something like that, which roughly translates to like somewhere around 300 USD.
Why?
So, but have you made money
Because
on
it's
it, or-
beautiful.
You
And
spent
it looks super
$300 on Counter-Strike Go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, a little bit more than that. I've also purchased an $80 M4A1.
Yeah.
And
Here's the thing. People like Burned is the reason that CS:GO exists.
You know what? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Anyway,
Because he
but that
fuels
rests my
their-
point about like microtransactions and like skins and things. Because
Yeah.
like I've probably spent
$300
equal
is
amounts
not
of
a
money on
microtransaction.
just on skins and
Very true. It's a very
And
macro
the
transaction.
market though the market for that though is caused by microtransactions for people buying cases. So the market for the skins is created by the demand of the players, but how you get those is you open up cases with small amounts of money. But getting good skins is a very small percentage of drop. So
Right.
through lots and lots of microtransactions, it creates the market that I pay for. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So one
But
of the
you're directly
things.
funding terrorism.
Wow. Yeah. So one of the things, like, I'm under an NDA about a lot of stuff. But like one of the things that I have like learned was that mobile games, for the most part, are funded by, funnily enough, 1% of players. Like most mobile games, that are like free to play, but you have to pay in the game in microtransactions. 99% of the players that ever download the game will not spend a cent. 1% will spend money on the game, and then 1% of those players pay ridiculous amounts of money. And like that, like 0.1% or 0.01% funds like the entire game.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
crazy to think about.
Well, it's an addiction, like gambling.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anyways,
But it's
I didn't want to get too far into this.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
we're-
that's
yeah.
mobile games too. But for other games, when you're looking at like TF2 or CS:GO or League of Legends, especially, like a huge percentage of players buy skins, where it's like it is the great majority, and it just depends on the number of skins. Like I have like a lot of money worth in skins that I bought, but it's because I enjoy the game. You know, I enjoy doing it, so I spend money on it.
Yeah.
Blah blah.
And
Yeah.
people get on my case when I said I've spent $90 on Hearthstone, even though it's had 2 expansions.
It's like, because I've spent a lot of money on CSGO, but the game itself was like $15, but I've gotten so much more of it and like,
Well, you have to,
enjoyment out of it, so many
yeah.
more hours,
You
you
have
know?
to like
Yeah.
rate it based on like time you're spending too, right? Because like I've spent so many hours in Hearthstone that like $90 is like, well, whatever. I've spent like hundreds of hours in this game, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't really matter. Anyways,
Also,
oh my god, it's
I
11
help
minutes
justify
burned.
it. I help justify it by the fact that it holds its value too, and it's technically gone up from what I bought it at.
Can you sell it?
If I wanted to, yeah, but I don't want to right
Can you
now.
translate it into real money?
Yes, through PayPal.
There you go. I have no problem
Hey.
with this. This sounds good. It's an investment.
You made an investment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Congrats.
There you go. Okay, so
Hooray.
anyways, we're at 11 and a half minutes. I wanted to say happy birthday to Jordana, a.k.a. Spirito, a.k.a. Half of the pair that made Children of the Night. They've been on the show a couple times. They are close personal friends of mine who lived near to me until I moved. Darn. So yeah.
Yeah,
she's mentioning that
they
she's been
moved to
listening to
you.
the podcast lately. So happy birthday, Jordana.
We love you.
Yay, happy
By the way, when you
birthday.
listen to this, it will not be your birthday, so it's kind of pointless, but what?
Happy
Happy
belated birthday.
belated birthday.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so we are 12 minutes in, and we have not even said the word art. Okay, now we've said the word art, and we're 12 minutes in. I bought us a minute.
We open with the word art. It's in our name.
Really? Because I like to slip in fart occasionally.
Welcome to Cutie Art Crusaders.
Now people are gonna go back
where
through-
maturity is key.
People are going to go back
Hey!
through 131 episodes to see if I've ever said Cutie Fart Crusaders.
Spoiler
It
alert,
was
it's in there
episode
somewhere.
74. I remember. I
I
remember
don't
like
even
it
know
was
what
yesterday.
episode 74 was.
It
All
almost
right.
was.
Art.
Okay.
Art.
So we have a theme for this week. Yay, finally.
We don't really, though.
Shush, 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 shush.
We like
I
to
was-
make up themes on the spot.
Yeah.
I was sort of bullied into picking one that matches with the other 3.
No,
Yeah, you were.
weren't. Shut
And
up.
you'll like it, Joel.
So, oh my
That's good
God,
for you.
What episode was that? We did an episode a long time ago, probably like a year or 2 ago. That was a purple theme, and Bernd chose to create this purple theme, and we had no idea what it was all about going into it, and then we left with a deep appreciation for purple.
I can't even believe we
so-
have enough
Damn
to
straight.
have a second
Are
episode.
you remembering that episode correctly?
Yeah. Let me see which one
It's
was
exactly how it
Purple.
happened. That's how we'll remember it.
Episode
71.
71. So, like a year ago.
Yeah, go watch that episode. It's great.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Well, at least I gained a much larger appreciation for the color purple when using art.
Matters.
So we're doing a purple part 2.
Yep.
Yay!
And according to how
Just-
long this episode is taking so far, we're going to hit part 3 and part 4 this week.
It's totally not because 3 of us chose purple pieces.
And
That's
we've-
totally not why we chose this theme.
Purple. All right. So the first piece is mine. We managed to roll through random.org has rolled our exact order. So we're going to be
Finally.
going in order this week. So the piece that I picked is called Gift for Aqua Galaxy by Celebi Yoshi. People might know her because we hung out with her at BronyCon. And this piece is really cool for a couple of reasons, but I want to come at it from the personal angle. Like, first of all, we know Celebi Yoshi. We hung out with her at BronyCon. She's very nice. But we also, this is a gift for Aqua Galaxy, who also listens to this podcast.
Hey,
So that's
Lamo.
cool. People we know, people who listen to the podcast, interacting with each other. I think some of the coolest things that has happened ever since we started Cutie Art Crusaders was seeing different people from the community who interact with each other and who also listen to us. Like, maybe it's not that they met through us, but like they are interacting with each other, and I think that's really cool.
you.
So yeah, I think this piece is really cool from that aspect. I'll let the other guys handle the talking about the art because I've already talked so much.
I like
You know me makes me love you.
I like the fact that Celebi Yoshi took some aspects of Aqua Galaxy's art and put it into this piece. Like, you get these like very vibrant purples and blues and kind of splotchy, like not really well defined splotches of color, which Aqua Galaxy is kind of known for. And so it almost looks like an Aqua Galaxy piece with a little bit of Celebi Yoshi flair put in.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely that sense when you look at a lot of Aqua Galaxy's art pieces that they just kind of have these wild, flowing, glowy colors to them, and it's got great energy to it. And I think this piece kind of brings that out, but obviously in a different style. So, Selby Yoshi oftentimes goes for this kind of watercolory look on a lot of her digital pieces, and I think that's really cool. We don't see too often these digital watercolor pieces, and it came out really well, and it usually comes out pretty well. I know some artists that I've talked to personally have mentioned that, like, oh, they love the way that watercolors look, and they wish that they could do more watercolors. And I don't know for sure whether or not this is digital or not. I'll have to ask her, but I'm pretty sure this is done digitally. And if so, then hey, other artists, take notice. You can make awesome watercolor looking art pieces digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is extremely digital.
It says
yes.
Says is digital.
It's-
Like the line
yeah.
art, I could see if maybe she like sketched it and scanned it or something, but I'm pretty sure it's all digital.
Yeah, but like what you were saying, it is pretty neat the effects that she did to make it look very watercolory. Like if you look in the bottom left corner, maybe like the bottom left quarter of the piece, there's just these splotches of color, and they kind of like the color bleeds into other colors and bleeds into the background of the piece and stuff, and so it looks very much like a watercolor where it's just like these pigments and then splotches of water, so they kind of seep into the paper.
Yeah, that purple texture in the background where it really looks like the water is kind of seeping into it. I could see if maybe she had or Yoshi has like watercolor pictures or resources, that she kind of uses for backgrounds.
Right.
I could see that maybe she used something like that. I'm just speculating. She could have totally used some kind of like paint tool psi magic, but
Right.
That's what a lot of artists use, right? Magic?
usually, yeah.
Yeah, not the paint tool side thing. Ignore that.
No. Yeah, it's just magic.
Yeah, it's just magic. Just magic.
So if you want to become an artist, you have to learn the arcane arts first.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I really like about this piece in particular is just the fact that Selby Yoshi has one of my favorite like facial styles out there. I think it's really unique, and I just love the expressions that it kind of conveys, and it's super cute. And so I love the depiction of this character. I know that the way that she did it was she looked at Aqua Galaxy's gallery and was like, oh, okay, there's this cool character that Aqua Galaxy is using. I'm going to use that. So yeah, it's kind of like Aqua Galaxy designed the character, but she's kind of making it. It's a really cool it's not an explicit collaboration, right? Because they're not working together on the same piece, but it's almost like an implicit collaboration,
Aqua
because
Galaxy's
she took
character.
ideas from Aqua Galaxy, took themes of it, and spun it in her own way.
Yeah. Which is really cool. And we often encourage artists to kind of experiment with their style and kind of take little pieces from other people's styles and try and work it into your own art, just to kind of get a feel for, what you like to do. So, something I like about this piece is the kind of the duality of the colors that are in it. You get this cyan and a magenta, which they're not really complements, but they are kind of far apart on the color wheel, and it's pretty much just basically those two colors. Pretty cool.
No, I like them. Like what is they're kind of primaries. So like when you're talking about like a printing colors, cyan, magenta, and what's the other one? Yellow, right?
Yeah.
Cyan, magenta, yellow, CMYK, and the last one's black. Cyan and magenta are very primary colors for that ink basis of pigments that mix, so they really stand out from each other here.
Right.
Like it's like blue and violet, they kind of are more analogous, like they kind of like are right up next to each other on the color wheel.
Yeah.
When you move to that really bright kind of greenish blue that's in her hair and wingtips, and then that really bright pink that's obviously in her other wing. Right there, they part from each other, and they become, kind of primaries where they bounce off of each other.
Yeah, and it's interesting too how she used the purples as highlights in the hair, which is cyan, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because there's purples, and then there's the magentas, and then there's the blues and the cyans. So there's kind of like the whole half of the color spectrum there, There's like those 4 colors, which end up being very analogous because they're right next to each other, cyan, blue, then violet, then the magenta. And so everything feels very kind of unified.
Right.
So sorry, I just wanted to get this while it's hot. Hot off the presses.
Yeah.
Apparently it's the line art is graphite, but it is a digital piece overall.
Uh-huh.
I've got her on Skype,
Cool,
so
good to know.
I just asked her, and she messaged me back. So
See, that's cool. Like, I don't like drawing on my tablet. I really like drawing traditionally. Like, I've been doodling recently, like on paper, and I like that versus drawing on a tablet. So, like, I could totally see like drawing something and scanning it in.
yeah,
But drawing
and
on a
it's pretty
tablet has
cool
no
how,
undo button.
yeah, there's no undo button.
Yeah.
Well, so does my eraser.
Yeah, but then you get
And
smudges all over the piece of paper.
X?
Well, and the thing is, like, I got to hang out with her at BronyCon, and so she was doing a lot of like commissions on the fly because she was not only selling her posters and stuff, but she was doing commissions. She gets line art right like the first time.
yeah.
Like it is like she was doing marker commissions, and she just learned how to do like use Copic markers like that month, and like she would just like there was no undersketch. She would just start it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's done." And I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Nah, this is easy.
Like how is that even possible?"
It's crazy how like quickly you can do sketches when you've been practicing it for a long time.
Yeah, like when you've done it for so long, like, and you get that good at it, it's just like, oh yeah, I already know the lines in my head. Like it's almost like the artist does the undersketch in their head and then they just trace over it. It looks like they're tracing. It's ridiculous. Anyways, it's one of the benefits of being a Cutie Art Crusaders. You get to talk to a lot of artists.
I wanted to point out something I like the eyelashes where, they have volume to it, where she drew the outline of the eyelashes versus just making them one solid thing that is black. Mm. You know what I mean? I've been noticing that a lot recently because I've been looking at the ways to do my own faces, and like eyelashes are a really big key, and of like how to do your expressions, whatever. And a lot of Celeb Yoshi's other pieces in artworks, the eyelashes are just like one solid thing of black, or it's usually black, and a lot of them looking here in the gallery. But in this one, she chose to make them like actually outline them and then fill them with that cyan, so they have that vibrant color to them. And I really like that touch. Like that
Well, that's got everything directly for Aqua Galaxy, because everything that Aqua Galaxy does is all bright colors. Everything, there's no sort of full colors anywhere. It's all just bright. And
well,
gradient.
I think there's a big spectrum, right? Because there are a lot of like heavy darks as well for Aqua Galaxy, right? But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, there's a lot of extremes in her art, which is not like extreme sounds bad, but it's not.
Yeah. All right, we do have to move on to the next piece. So Burned, take it away.
Oh, hey, look me.
Hey.
Oh god, where am I?
You're on
Okay,
the Cutie Art
so-
Crusaders. Hey.
First time caller, long time listener.
The piece that I chose is called The Quiet Corner, and it's by Nadnerb D. And
Yay.
it's just like I want to talk about the name for the second. Nadnerb, like that name caught me off guard, and it's one of those names like Kired, and it's actually, if you read it backwards, it's Brandon or Brendan.
Brendan.
Whatever, Brendan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brendan D. Anywho, Nadnerb, as we'll call him.
And Nerb.
We've featured this artist a couple times, haven't we?
Yes.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
Yep. Recently too.
But recently I've been actually chatting with him, and he's a really cool guy, and we've been like, basically, as he put it, exchanging mouth words back and forth. And it's been rather enjoyable, and it's been a lot of fun talking about random artsy things. But anywho, I really, really like this piece, and one of the major reasons that I enjoy it is because of how basically almost photo accurate the lighting is. And it's something that he actually, Nenner was kind of striving for to do or paint in his work as of like recently, kind of like photorealism, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, you know what I didn't know about Nadnerb? He had one of the art pieces in our value episode,
Oh.
I believe. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong, but I recognize the beautiful and terrible as the dawn.
Oh, the Beautiful Turbulus Dawn was the
Yes.
one you guys featured when I was away. But the one you're thinking
Right.
of in the Valley episode was like a piece that was really similar. Celestia again, really bright light, but it was
you're
by
right.
Yeah.
the Ankylosaurus or something,
You're
right?
right. You're absolutely right, Bernd.
Yeah.
But it was very
Absolutely
similar.
Anyways, this art piece, I like it a lot. I think it's a really cool art piece, and you're right how he started going a little bit more for that like realism, and the lighting in it is something that I think is super spectacular.
Mm-hmm. I love the different levels of lighting too. He uses kind of yeah, I think it is hard shading, pretty much everywhere. But it's like these different kind of values of light in her hair, especially, and also like on her horn and on her ears and stuff. And it definitely gives the piece a very like shiny feel.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Nice.
a mixture of like hard shading and soft shading. So some areas are using soft shadings like under her chin and on her ears,
Right.
things that are round, and then other areas that are like have a more drastic angle are hard shaded, like on her legs and then in her hair.
Yeah.
And that I was gonna say, the way that he's done, sort of set up, the way the light's coming through the window is really, really good. He's got that like that little shelf underneath the window, which is coming out, and that's casting a shadow onto the desk he's reading a book on. Also, you can see the tip of the feather, the quill, is lit, and then there's that in the shadow.
Right.
So
Yeah,
the way
very
that
nice.
he's sort of angled that light and figured out where the shadows is going to be, he's done it really, really well.
Yeah.
And like the shadow cast down on the desk too.
Also, I love that the quill and the little jar of ink are really not that well detailed, but when you zoom out, because it's in shadow, your eyes just kind of fill it in, and like I think that's probably one of the best uses of lack of detail in a piece that I've seen. Just that little bit of thing there.
Yeah, that's actually something I brought up in the little in the comments down below, that I really like. Basically, the areas that lack detail, or I like to call them painterly or sketchy, because in this piece there's details in places that matter, like in Twilight where it's ridiculously detailed, like in her face and expression in her hair, and there's other places that are just kind of digitally painted in, where like the important parts are put on like the values and the colors, but there's not all this ridiculous tight detail. And I really, really like that. And something that I was saying to Nadnerb was that I enjoy pieces like this, that he's made a lot more than pieces that are all like absolutely detailed, where everything's detailed, like pieces by like Yuklav Vlad or Pony Killer X, where every single little detail is so like finitely done and perfect. Like I totally respect that because it's awesome, but I enjoy painting a lot more when it has these areas of like that lack detail. I find it more interesting, and it kind of gives character to the painting, and it makes it I don't know, it just makes it more enjoyable for me. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
I think the difference between the detailed areas and the non-detailed areas might be a little bit more subtle than in other pieces that we've seen. But I totally
especially-
understand where you're coming from.
Especially because when you zoom out, everything looks fairly well detailed, unless you're on a giant monitor, I guess. But it's like I kind of almost relate this back to like expressionism and the whole expressionist movement, where it was like a lot less detail. So if you look up close, like it's like, what is this painting of? It's just splotches. But if you step back and look at the whole thing all together, it's like a very detailed. Like if you've ever seen the watercolors by, or the water lilies by Monet, if you look at it up close, it's literally just splotches of paint. And if
Yeah.
you step back, it's like this beautiful scene. So,
Yeah, not quite as drastic as that, but I totally
Yeah.
get your point. Like how Nadner put it was, he's doing just enough to create the impression of accuracy.
Right.
So like there's still a lot of accuracy put into, we can tell those are books and like that's an inkstand and stuff. It's just like there's not all these other ridiculous little details going around on it.
Yeah. I do.
It's what makes it's what takes like a kind of a boring, really accurate piece for me, and then makes something that has accuracy, and then makes it an actually like unique piece.
Right.
So for
Right.
personal preference.
Yeah.
I do think that the way that he's done the hair in both the mane and the top part and her tail and stuff is really cool. Obviously the bundling of the hair of the tail is a bit odd looking, I suppose, but I think
Poofy.
overall I really like how it looks 3D without forcing yourself into the situation where you draw every single strand. Like it definitely does pop out to me, but again does not like do every single little tiny strand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has a very unique way of painting hair, and I rather like it. And I'm pretty sure like he kind of created. I don't know if he's taking inspiration for something or if he kind of learned it, but I feel like he's almost like writing his own way of creating fantastic pony hair. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I really like how volumey it is. And poofy.
Volume-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting because to me the shading almost resembles some shading that I've seen in anime hair, especially like at the very top with the very bright highlights.
Yeah, those little specular highlights.
Yeah. But obviously like the stranding is a little bit more detailed than you would typically see in anime, and like there's a lot of things that aren't really related to that kind of art form. So I think he's probably pulling inspiration from multiple places and kind of mixing them together, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have a little bit of a hard time relating to the notion of anime because to me, most of the time, anime is very flat feeling to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad thing, it's just the style to me seems a lot like layers of paper. Like, it's, unless you're going for like full 3D, in which case I don't think we've quite figured that out yet.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
you could use the word manga. Like, I've seen a lot of detailed, or manga, excuse me. But, like, in a lot of, like, really detailed manga, you'll see that kind of care put into stuff like hair. But in, like, anime and anime shows, it's a little, far in between.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to value, I, like, you're, like, talking about, like, the shading and that light from the window. I really like how the window is like super bright and then there's a huge contrast of value like around it, like on the wall there that makes it dark, and then how Twilight is dark as well. So normally when you think of value, you would think the thing that is the subject is being lit up, right? But in this, it's the reverse. That you have a really bright spotlight, yeah, and everything else around Twilight is being lit up, and she is kind of in shadows, like, and being silhouetted like the things behind her, and she is actually dark. So like it gets into this concept of like camera focus, where the camera's kind of its light exposure is set to this really kind of bright room, but then everything else around it, because she's kind of inside, it's not capturing areas in like the dark, and then certain like details in Twilight, she's very desaturated and darker. Mm-hmm. And it's a very cool touch, a very interesting way of like doing lighting, especially in something like this. And it's tackled just really, really well too. So another reason why I wanted to pick this piece, highlight it, show it off to the world.
Something related to that, just really quickly, because I know we're running up on time. As Max writes double exclamation points.
Angry exclamations.
Don't talk about the secrets! Just talk about the show and the art! God's sakes.
I like how Twilight is kind of being framed by this spotlight of light from the window. Like there's this much brighter patch which is kind of circling around her, and her tail is completely inside of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a light coming in from the window, but like that shine coming from the glass, kind of hits, where there's like two things going in your window.
I was going to say, nobody else had mentioned, I was going to mention that as well. The way that it looks sort of watery and wavy on the ground, it's almost like subsurface scattering.
Yeah.
If I was a cat, I'd sleep in that light.
Excuse me?
That's why Twilight's there. It's warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Twilight
She's
is
slacking off
another
those
thing I
photos,
wanna
she hasn't
talk
written
about-
anything.
You have
Another thing I want to
literally
talk about is
30
her
seconds, Bert.
expression. I was just gonna say her expression. Like it's just something to think about. Just kind of like sad. It's solemnful. Like you see this piece, it's done really well.
Up all night.
It's really accurate and blah blah, and it's really well made. And then like if you actually look at like kind of this narrative going on, you look at her face and she's kind of sad or whatever. And I asked Nadner about it, but I won't spoil it for you. You guys
I think she's
wonder
all
about
like,
it. Time.
The heck are you doing here? Go away, I'm studying.
It's pretty obvious
I'm
because
trying
it's called
to
the Quiet
read.
Corner.
I think she's looking at us like conspicuously being like, you're still on this art piece, you should move on to the next one already.
Or she's like, why are you guys going away so soon? We should talk about it more.
Or she got sent to the timeout
Or she's like, I really want a cupcake.
and she's feeling guilty.
We're gonna move on to the next piece, which is called
There's no or.
Stroll.
Yeah, we can skip over this one.
Get on, nerds.
The next piece is one that I chose called Stroll by Lukine. I think that's how you pronounce it. I have no idea. Sorry.
Stroll by leukemia.
Jesus.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, that got dark. So yeah, this is a piece of Applejack looking into a sunrise or sunset. I'm not sure which. It's very messy. I like it. I like the purple skies. It's like purple and orange or orange. Purple. I don't know.
Paloran.
Orange.
Yeah.
Orange. And believe it or not, it's 1080p, 60 frames per second.
60
Nice.
frames per second.
Nice, man.
Oh,
Good
my.
frame
Yes.
rate.
It's a great frame rate for a still image.
Also, it's... I'm...
Actually, I'm viewing this on my 144 hertz monitor, so it's actually it's a 4K 144 FPS piece.
4K Master Race. I don't know. I just really like this piece. I like pieces that have kind of this warmth to them, these sun rays and stuff. And I think because of the orange mixing in with the purples, the purple definitely has a very warm feeling in this piece. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of also reminds me a lot of Husi, his style.
I think
Yeah,
that's
very
fair.
painty, brushy.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually argue, though, this piece feels cooler to me than it does warm. Like, I see the violets and I see the oranges, but there's so much blue in it that the violets and the oranges don't do enough to make it warm for me. Just because, the clouds themselves are cool and the horizon is cool, that I get a more overwhelmingly cool than I do warm. But there is that duality in color.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
If you compare it to the one that it was based on that they did originally, it's warm.
Click.
The original one's warm.
Yeah.
And they made it
Oh
cool.
my, yes.
Right.
Quite.
Yeah.
Ooh, when was this done? This was done in 2012. And the piece we're viewing now is done, when now? In 2014.
Hey.
So
Look at that.
I
Come
just
a long,
got
long way.
I just got why you said 1080p 60 FPS. Because it says in the description.
Yeah.
It's pretty
What
funny.
it does?
It's pretty funny.
Oh, 1080p 60 FPS reissue. All right.
Hey.
That's got to be a joke.
Did you guys
right?
think I was
that's
just being
gotta
Yeah,
silly?
it is. It is.
be- Yeah, it must be. It
I
must
didn't
be.
even. I was looking there, but I didn't really see it spelt out because it's kind of like in the middle of that. So it's a somewhat spiritual 1080p 60 FPS reissue 360 no scope 420 Mountain Dew.
It's got to be like that.
Yes. Okay. So,
That's
anyways,
awesome.
you were mentioning the whole fact that it felt cool, and I think the coolest thing about this piece, no pun intended, is the
Yeah.
fact that it's making yellow and orange look cool. And we often see colors like green that can go back and forth between being warm and cool, and it depends on the environment. We've talked about that a lot. But it's really cool how the orange and the yellow in the sky really do come off as cool colors. And I think part of the reason why it does that is because in the middle of the piece, we've got this cloud that seems to transition from orange or from yellow to purple. And that's a really cool phenomenon when a color goes from a warm color to a cool color. In my brain, at least, what it does is it kind of shifts all of the yellows. It's like, oh, that yellow is transforming into purple, and so the rest of them kind of get a little bit of this feeling that they're going to turn into purple. And it's like everything's turning into purple. And you're right, it does feel like a cool piece, but it's got these interesting aspects, these interesting little tidbits of warmth in them.
I wish I could turn into purple.
See, we've talked about like shadows versus lighting and how if you want to do really good shadows and lighting, you would make one cool and the other warm. So in my mind, the purples and the oranges and stuff is a warm color, and the blues are the cool color, and they're kind of like the shadow or the silhouette of these clouds. And yeah, I could be wrong.
Has
completely.
anybody
No,
ever
it's
told
all-
you that
it's-
you were wrong? Because I will.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
joking.
not so much that we're
Yeah.
joking. It's everyone sees something differently, and like everyone sees color differently. You know what I mean? So it's like I have seen color in certain areas and I've been kind of trained like, oh, this is what cool looks like, this is what warm.
Yeah.
But it's just when you look at something, it's like how does it feel or seem, or how do these colors next to each other make you feel or make it seem warm or cool to you, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So like a lot
Yeah.
of color theory is I'm gonna place this color next to this color, and I'm gonna do that like 20 more times with all these colors.
See what happens.
And they're gonna do something unique every single time.
Yeah.
So in a piece like this, you have some very interesting, warm and cool colors next to each other, but that's like. For me, I see a lot more blues in it in the majority than in like violets than I do the yellows and oranges, which are towards like the bottoms more subdued. So that coolness kind of overwhelms the warmth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like color also isn't so much of what a color is, or like this color we see it as warm. It is also like the majority of one color can overpower another color or temperature to make it seem another way. And so like this piece is doing a lot of incredibly interesting things. And I think one of the reasons for that is because the whole thing's painted in color. And like you mentioned that it resembles like Husi, and it really does, because he's the same way and he loves painting like in color. And like, so there's actually a little bit of incorporation of black, if that's even the right word, I don't know, I'm making up words here, in the bottom there, where like the grass is like black, like painted, and creates like this silhouette, like dark, and it really stands out. And like that's about the only spot that like really paints in dark. Like even I guess like a little bit of Applejack has some dark areas, but it even looks like blues. But
Yeah.
the whole thing is just really cool uses of colors. Like I really like on the horizon there towards the right with like the blue clouds and the yellow behind it, like the yellow light bleeding through the blue. You know what I mean? Like that's just a cool spot. It's a cool color.
I just Googled it for you, Bernd, and black is in fact a color. And it's a word. so-
Incorporation. Incorporation. To
Incorporation.
incorporate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incorporation works. Yeah.
Incorporation.
Yeah, you incorporate a color into other things.
Can you Google that for me?
Yeah.
What does Google say?
Google says it's a word.
Hey.
Thank you.
Burn.
Thank you.
Google says it's a word.
Yay.
I would just like to point out in this one, this image, one of the tags is butts.
It's true. She has a
Oh,
butt.
it's clouds.
yeah.
Right, cloud to butt.
Oh, she
is
also
it?
has a
That
butt.
is too.
She does have a butt, Ted. So does every other character.
Yeah.
It's true.
I didn't
Every
even think of
character
that.
ever has a butt.
My Little Pony's dirty secrets. The characters have butts.
I didn't even think of that, but
More at 11.
I did want to say that Applejack has done the same sort of way that Twilight was on the last one, where the front of her, I guess, it's if we're looking at the Twilight one from the last art piece, if we're looking at her from the side, we would see what we see on Applejack here. The front part of her is bright, and the back half of her is dark.
Right.
It's the same thing,
Oh,
just
and
from a different
someone
angle.
mentioned earlier that this reminded them of Husi. I'd also like to point out that his art pieces often remind me of AJVL.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Artist reminds me of more artists.
And his remind me of mine.
Hey.
Like if you
Remind
told
me
me
of farts.
AJVL
Remind me
painted
of
this,
farts.
I would be like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I could see AJVL painting something like this.
Yeah. Totally.
Joel,
good.
can I
But
ask you
no,
a
it's
question?
Lou King.
Apparently not. Great. All right.
Go on.
What?
No, do it.
What just happened?
I just said, Joel, can I ask you a
Oh, I
question?
don't know. I didn't see who her name was. But yes,
You
can ask
wouldn't
me a
I
be
didn't
able
see you
to
asked
see.
it either.
Sorry, did you just say I didn't see whose name it was? We're on a Skype call.
question. I'm
Use your
blind
ears.
Did your girlfriend just laugh at you in the background?
no, I don't think so. She might have.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Just ask the question.
I'm ear
Joel.
blind. What's going on?
I want to ask you a question.
Yes, ask away.
What did you bring this week?
Well,
yes, that was a failed transition attempt. Go me.
oh, okay.
hell.
Well, I brought this one. It's called Found Ya by Dear Cotton Candy. It's all purple and stuff. It's the most purple one out of all of these because I'm the one that came up with it.
Hey. So yeah, we kind of forced him to use this piece. Sorry about that.
He suggested it.
Yeah, that is true.
It's good.
But yeah, it's good. I like
good.
it.
It's all purple and blue and pink and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's got really cool use of kind of like slight gradients throughout the entire piece that go over the characters but are not necessarily a part of the characters. So a lot of the color is overlaid. Like you've got these transitions, almost like this like glowy, like almost aurora borealis-esque colors that transition between like very slight green, kind of this fuzzy yellow, but always staying within the realm of purple.
Something that I really like what they've done here is it's really they've somehow managed to make it easy, but the colors sort of in the background, foreground, and whatever are exactly the same as the colors that are on the characters, but it's still really easy to identify where the characters are. So I mean, even without those black outlines, you'd still be able to see that's Twilight and that's Trixie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
that's not Trixie. That's
I don't think that's Trixie, but sure.
No, it's not gonna,
I want to believe that it's Trixie.
Star Swirl the Birded.
Yeah. Oh, Twilight's
Headcanon
finally
was messing
facing
with
off.
me for a moment
Yeah,
there.
against
Sorry.
Star Swirl.
What's with almost every single piece today is a character not facing the camera and like looking back?
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it?
I should have picked one that was not facing the camera and looking back.
Yes.
It's just purple.
Way to fit in.
Purple makes us feel like we have to turn away.
Burned, can you zoom in on this character's face really quick for me?
Yeah. Sure.
Swag.
Swag face. Those ears. Those are swagging ears.
Those are awesome ears.
420 swag it.
I think you need to do that for every single character that is looking back from now on. You need to zoom in while I say swag.
And like those eyebrows, like that expression. Oh yeah. Speaking of those eyebrows,
Teeny!
Same thing as last week.
Yeah.
You guys remember last week when I was like,
Yeah.
Burned, I don't remember what
I like
happened
the
in the
eyebrows.
last hour.
I like them. I like the eyebrows.
Yeah, the little
eyebrows.
outlined eyebrows. They're cool. I like them.
The eyes are also done really well.
And the shiny purple fire coming from them.
They're very
Yeah.
animu.
Yeah. Magic-y eye thingies.
I like the fact that whenever anybody's thinking of magic, they just put triangles and circles together and let everything else sort itself out.
It's
It's
science and
put
magic.
this here and
things.
it's magic. Some random symbols, 3.14, and there you go.
Yeah.
Look kind of Greek.
So Twilight's practicing alchemy then.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. I
Without
see
any
that
chemicals.
too. Like, it's
Yeah.
alchemical circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Interesting.
circles totally look alchemical.
Yeah.
Dude, I did so much research in alchemy. No.
Yeah, I
you
took
can
an
tell
alchemy
by
class
some of
at
these-
university.
Some of these circles here.
We were only able to convert 1 kilo of lead to gold, but you know, it's a start.
Okay, so about the art piece, I really like the ripples that are kind of coming off of Twilight's bottom hooves there. All of her hooves are bottom hooves. Sorry, but like it gives this kind of atmosphere of like, you know, you don't really know where they are. It's kind of like a really ethereal place, but for some reason there's this concept of a floor, and when you touch that floor, you stand on it, but it also gives ripples. So is it water? Is it not water? It's cool.
They're in the twilight
Dude,
zone.
it's magic.
Are they both standing on a waterbed?
They could be.
I don't
It looks like
approve
that.
that
Yeah,
Twilight
it kind of
Zone
looks like
comment,
that
by the way.
ethereal type thing, and that those alchemical circles are coming out of the floor,
Yeah.
and then you can see that 90-degree bend between the ripples on the floor and the ripples going up what would be the wall.
Right. It
Like-
kind of gives context to the scene, and it helps you identify like distance between characters and how close Twilight is to
Yeah.
the floor and things like,
Like those, and the light streaks from up above make me feel like, or feels like to me that it's like underwater or something, and almost look like there's bubbles or something. I don't know.
Something else I've just noticed is Twilight looks like real and solid, and then you look over at Starswell on the very right. You've got like bits of light. You can almost see through it. You can see through him almost, and all the stuff flying away. So he looks ethereal. He doesn't look real.
that. Yeah. It's a
So
little bit
she's
misty,
traveled
isn't
to his dimension or whatever.
it? Ooh, the
Yeah.
head cannon.
Ooh. Because it says found, yes. Twilight's found.
Okay, there is a quote down here which I will read,
Yep.
and
Alright.
it says, "I looked up to you. You were my hero, my inspiration. Who'd think you'd be alive? After all these years, all I had to do was turn my head around." Swag.
It doesn't say swag.
Don't
I'm
ruin
pretty sure it
my
says
fan
swag
fiction.
right there,
So,
right there in the YOLO subtitles.
so are we shipping Twilight and Starspearl now, or?
There's a little asterisk after the end of the quote that says swag.
Look at that! Look at it! It's the work in progress of this, the sketches.
Oh,
Look at that
that's
line
cool.
art. That's some pretty line art.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that I find between the line art, why do I keep pasting links into Skype? You guys don't need to know. So the interesting thing I find about the line art versus the finished piece is, first of all, you can see what Joel was just talking about, the fact that Twilight is more detailed, whereas Star Swirl is more like blurry
Out of
and
focus.
Yeah.
lighter colors.
It's
and
that
stuff.
it's the depth of field, like where we are focused or where the viewer wants the artist wants the viewer to be focused is Twilight. Like she is very
Right.
in detail and
Right,
focused.
but it's
Star Swirl's kinda
also
blurry.
got more, I think, value contrast than the other
Yeah.
piece does.
like in going to the colored piece, like that's why kind of Twilight and Star Swirl actually stand out, because like they're the same color as everything around them, but they happen to stand out because of the kind of value contrasts and like the shading, and like underneath features or like legs and like underneath Twilight's neck and stuff like that. And then obviously the line art makes them stand out a lot from the background. And then there's some like even light values like hitting on like the underside of her hair and stuff that really makes Twilight pop. So there's like little touches that make the characters pop out from what they would just blend into. Like Star Swirl is doing a lot of that blending, but his line art really makes him pop. Where Twilight, she really has a lot of, you know, the value aspects kind of popping her out from the background. But it is really, really cool line art. It's a cool style. I like this. I'm glad you brought it, Joel.
You are welcome.
Thanks, Joel. All right. So
speaking of Joel, question
that's-
time.
That's about it for this week's art.
Yes.
Okay.
Guest
We wanna do
roles.
them we want to do them both?
Yeah. We'll do one and see how our time is, I guess.
Okay, which one should I do first?
In
I'm
order.
going to do the second one first, because you really want to do that one.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Alright. Whenever you're talking about fan art, you speak of it like you are in the pieces when actually only your OCs are. I'm wondering how much you want to see yourself being your OC. Also, on that note, do Rainbow Plasma and Flutter Guy want to be females?
Okay.
By Felix.
So are we gonna do the jokes first, or are we gonna do the serious first?
So
At the same time.
I'd
On a
like to
serious
be
note.
a female horse. I'd
On
like
a
to
more
be the
serious
prettiest
note-
pony in all of the land.
no, but seriously, on a more serious note, I already am a female horse. You know.
It's true.
I have ascended
ascended.
into female horsedom.
Yes.
Family Guy joke.
What?
Oh, where it like keeps unzipping. Like actually,
Yeah.
I am a horse and unzip.
I am a horse.
I have a confession to make, Rainbow Plasma. I am a broom.
I'm a broom. Oh my god. Anyways, okay, so serious talk. I have said this like 4 or 5 times on individual streams. Like I've been on like late customer stream, and
that
I've
you
been on my own
want to be a
editing
female
stream.
horse. We're not judging you, dude. We're not pressing you. It's okay.
Anyways, I've said this before. Like the thing about these OCs is that they started out as separate OCs. So I know I'm speaking in terms of like me and Ted, right? So these OCs started out as characters that we enjoyed kind of making, but they didn't necessarily represent ourselves. And then the podcast came around and we needed something to represent ourselves. So the only thing that we had was these OCs. So we used those OCs as kind of like identifiers for ourselves. Over time, they've kind of slowly merged to become like representations of ourselves, but they're not like who we view ourselves as. It's complicated.
Didn't you make
But,
them
you know-
initially for a birthday thing for me? Because mine was the first birthday after we all met.
Yes.
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 But
Yeah,
is it-
that's why I made an OC.
Well, no, I made mine separately, but that's why I remember talking to Ted about it, and Ted needed an OC for your birthday piece,
I made mine for your birthday.
and so did Burned apparently. But yeah,
So my OC and you share the same birthday. Think
yeah,
about it.
there you go.
Yeah.
My OC was birthed on your birthday.
Whoa.
So
Same with mine.
like the thing is the characters started out as individual characters, which is why they're like female, and it's why they're like Burned kind of looked like his OC, so his was a pony Sona. We have an entire OC episode series. You guys
Yeah.
should go watch it.
And like me, like actually like my OC representing myself and like being a personification of myself like that kind of screwed you guys over. So everyone's like, oh, that's a burn pony. Like those must be Max and Ted pony.
Right.
Like,
And I mean Joel too. Like his is an electric pony, and he does electricity. Like he does work with electronic. Oh, God, you know what I mean.
Electricity.
I totally just realized that.
Yeah. So like
really?
I could see how that might be the case for both of you, right? It could be legitimately like assumed that you guys have ponysonas, and so like you said, people just extend that to us.
I did.
The thing is
I did,
that
absolutely.
because of the podcast, it's extended it, so now we've used these to represent ourselves. So yeah, now we do kind of, when we see fan art, we say, hey, that's me in there as opposed to my OC.
I think we just have to get right down to the serious horse facts and accept that if it just became like Equestria, like all of a sudden poof, like we are now in Equestria and you guys became your OCs, you are now females, I would hit on you.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want you to
Thank
know
you,
that.
Bernd. Thank you.
I would
You're a
too.
very attractive mayor, Max.
And yet all of you answered that you wouldn't date each other if one of us was a girl. You're liars.
I would
But if
chase
you
Ted
were
Pony
no,
so
no,
much.
no, no. If you were a female horse, yeah.
I would
Get on that.
I would be I would chase you.
All right. So I wanted to answer the second part of that question, which is, and on that note, do Rainbow Plasma and Flutter Guy want to be female? It's just, I just don't see
Yes.
where the leap in logic is there. So
I actually don't see gender, Yeah.
Don't
I'm
associate
a
it's just a
good
single
person.
gender.
So like okay, like no, we did not make our OCs female because we secretly have like transgendered feelings. And I'm not even joking about that. Like I'm being completely serious. No, that is not why we made our characters female. I made my character female because it's really, really hard to vector male characters. So I made
That's
a
true.
female character because I thought it'd be easier. Then
How does
when
face
Ted was making
perspective work?
his, I said you should be a female character as well because I didn't want to feel like I'm the only one who has a female character. That is the
Oh man, I should have left you hanging.
that is the absolute 100% truth.
It's like our excuse for gender diversity on the podcast.
It
You know
works
what I mean?
great.
Because it doesn't
Yeah.
technically exist, but we have these OCs, so it makes it okay.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true. And we
kinda.
also do interview like 90% women, so I mean that counts too.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we don't want to secretly be female. I mean, like let's not rule that out entirely here, but we did not make the OCs as some sort of like secret want to be female or anything like that.
We also don't want to offend anyone
Yeah.
watching. It's like we're not total insensitive
Yeah,
jerks.
exactly.
Like I've been cracking a lot of jokes about stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
no, it's like
Yeah.
no, we don't. Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
yeah, that's
I mean,
why I'm being serious about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
to answer
On a
your
serious
question,
note.
to
Yeah.
answer your question, we probably can't do the second question, so I'm just gonna keep going on this one. To answer your question, like it started out as completely separate characters, but over time, there's been way more time that has been us represented by these characters than it has at the beginning when they weren't represented with us. So now we do associate ourselves with that character, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we think we are that character or anything like that. Like, that's not how OCs work. So I'd highly recommend, if you haven't seen it before, some of our best episodes of all time are our OC episodes. So I would definitely recommend, there's like 2 or 3, I think. Go check those out because those are like really awesome episodes and they explain a lot about ponysonas versus characters versus blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
I mean, to be fair and perfectly honest, like you and me probably have the most stereotypical feminine qualities out of anyone on this podcast.
How dare you? Do you know how long my hair used to be?
That is
Apart
true.
from
That is
the
true.
hair.
Bernd had very long hair.
I am
Yeah.
a beautiful man. I'll have you know.
I've always said I'm a teenage girl on the inside. So, maybe that's subconscious. Who knows? You're correct. I'd say that you and I are the more feminine on the podcast compared to Bernd and Joel.
Mhm.
Although, to be honest with you, people might not think that because all they see is what we present to the podcast as opposed to our real lives. Anyways, this is getting really serious.
I know.
Cookie dough.
Serious business.
Thank you for that, Joel. That was
Thanks.
fantastic.
Alright.
I don't know what did I do. I had a bit of a cough.
No, I didn't hear a thing. Because Joel, I couldn't tell. Like I was looking and I couldn't see the name, so I couldn't. Yeah, I didn't know at all.
So speaking of Joel, plug time.
Plug time?
And
Plug
thank
time.
you for listening to the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a DeviantArt account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. We have a Gmail, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. We have a Facebook, which is Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook. We have a Twitter, which is @CutieArtCrusaders. We have a Tumblr, which is cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com. We have youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders. And we have a Picado, which you can Google Picado or Cutie Art Crusaders on Picado. You can find us all there.
AKA, we
That's where our
have
streams
too
are right
much
now.
crap.
So if you're not in our live streams, let me ask you one question. Why not?
Yeah.
Because I'm at work.
Sorry, I was
Join
waiting
us.
for an answer. I just realized I was talking to a non-existent entity.
Hey, we get
'Cause
asked
I'm at
questions
work
all
right
the
now.
time.
Are you at
What?
work right
No.
now?
When this airs, he will be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'll be
a
at
good point.
school.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I'll be in
Way
geology,
to break the illusion, jerk.
learning about rocks.
I
I'll be-
will probably not be doing anything, but
So
I
why
might
aren't you
not
in,
watch
this, why in the chat?
okay. So
But your internet is bad right now.
that
so
is
you
true. I
have
have an excuse now.
for this week only.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's getting fixed next week. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that is the
You're getting
podcast,
fixed next
guys.
week.
That's everything. Unless anybody else has anything else to add. Do you guys have anything else to add?
We love you all the same.
Ooh! No, get you. I got something else to add.
Huh?
So we'd probably talk about this at the beginning of the show. Forgot. I'm going fencing in like 2 hours.
Oh.
Fencing.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun.
Okay. So,
So-
the first time
so
you've ever
it
fenced.
Burn's gonna be
The-
dead when this airs.
in my German class, my German teacher invited everyone in the class to join on once a month free fencing session, basically, where you like get like a tutorial and blah blah blah. And so I'm gonna go do that because that sounds cool.
Don't get
It's
poked
called
in the
Stab
eye.
Your Friends Night.
Can you do me a favor, Bern, when you're editing? I know I'm asking a lot of favors of you, but can you
Sure.
put up just like a really sad looking like rest in peace like image at the very end of the podcast and like super sad music and like your face?
Wait, if he actually does die, that means I have to edit the podcast.
Can he edit in like the
Don't
next 2
die,
hours?
Bernie.
Who will edit the podcast if Bern dies?
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
I want to see pictures, though. Seriously, take pictures and. Yeah.
Also, I would like to thank RNGesus for making the order of art correct this week.
Okay, no. Okay, we're cutting this off. Now we're just talking. Now we're just. Oh my god, falling over my chair!
Thanks all for watching.
Thank you for watching. Whether or not you're on the live stream, YouTube, or currently within a chair earthquake, we
Same.
love you all the same. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
Let's burn.
I'm Flutterguy317.
I'm at my spark.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Bye.